Abortion Access in the USA, a PSA Proposal, by Caitlin Green, Claire Potty, and Brianna Webster. Students of EDST 2500, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Foundations, were asked to propose a public service announcement campaign for the purposes of gaining approval from the instructor prior to commencing the final presentation. The focus of the following PSA proposal is to support awareness on the current state of abortion rights in the United States of America. This overarching topic will include subtopics such as reproductive rights, women's rights, and Roe v. Wade. The following presentation will address the purpose of choosing this topic, a description of the PSA campaign, and how we as a group plan to make our campaign engaging for our audience. This assignment was created in Google Slides and recorded using the software Vimeo. Content Overview. Here you will find the sections of the presentation and the order in which they are discussed. We will begin with a description of a proposed PSA campaign, followed by pertinent information regarding the topic. Then we will move on to topic justification, why we chose the topic that we did, and why the topic is so important to bring awareness to. Finally, we will discuss our plans for engaging our audience before we wrap up the presentation with a brief description and conclusion and our references. A description of the PSA campaign. The following section is a brief description of our PSA campaign. For our PSA, we will be focusing on abortion bans in the U.S., the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and its impact on access to safe abortions and pregnancy-related mortality as a result. Abortion rights in the USA have been long disputed, with some individuals fighting to ban abortions and others fighting to save them. In our PSA campaign, we are focusing on the latter. We are asking the big questions, like how do we protect those who require abortions and ensure that their rights to this healthcare procedure are not taken away. Currently, in the USA, individuals have varying access to abortions. This means that depending on the state you live in, you may or may not be able to receive this potentially life-saving treatment.
Now we will move on to some vital information regarding our chosen topic. In the following section, we will discuss Roe v. Wade and the policy implications surrounding abortions in the U.S., both through a current and historical lens. In 1973, the Supreme Court passed Roe v. Wade and gave women safe access to abortions legally. On June 24, 2022, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled to revoke the constitutional right for women to seek safe abortion care. Women and citizens across the United States and the world were devastated by the decision. This decision sparked controversy across social media platforms, amongst politicians, and even the U.S. President Joe Biden. The decision dismantled 50 years of legal protection and paved the way for individual states to curtail or outright ban abortions. Not only did this decision mean the ban of abortion care in these states, but also the ban of women's rights to safe emergency contraceptive. The implications of these bans can result in unsafe, at-home abortions, increasing pregnancy-related mortality rates. It also opens women up to legal consequences should they attempt to obtain an abortion out of state. There are even reports of women who have miscarried being questioned by authorities as to the nature of their miscarriage and if it was intentional. This can cause incredible stress and trauma during an event that may already be painful. Marginalized women are at a greater risk of pregnancy complications and of higher death rates. Partners and children are also impacted with rates of domestic violence, financial and mental strain increasing for all parties. Now we will be moving on to why we chose this topic for our PSA campaign. This topic is important to bring awareness to, as individuals may not be aware of policy implications on women's bodies. Specifically, Canadian citizens may be blind to the current state of the U.S. or show apathy towards the situation because it isn't happening here in Canada. It is imperative that we avoid this apathy in such historically significant times. We must ensure that the voices of women are heard and supported. We must all work together to regain the lost rights of our sisters down south. Our group decided on this particular topic because we felt connected to and affected by the subject. All 3 group members were assigned female at birth and identify as female. All 3 group members work with parents and children in some capacity. One group member even resides in the US while completing this program online. Living in a country where we have the ability to say, my body, my choice, we felt saddened and passionate about the subject. We are very aware of, and sensitive to, the political climate in the US, particularly in regard to the current and historical attack on women's reproductive rights. Without awareness and without helping to inform others, we are bystanders watching this happen to women. It is important to understand the full implications of this change. It is additionally relevant as it could easily happen in Canada as well, and abortion is already difficult to access for many residing outside of large urban areas in our own country.
As women who support full access to abortion, we feel strongly about bringing awareness to this topic. By standing by silently, we wouldn't be far off from supporting the ban itself. The idea that these issues are only taking place in the US is also naive. Many aspects of reproductive health care are illegal in countries around the world, and Canada is strongly affiliated and linked with the US. What happens to some of us does or can happen to all of us. Additionally, the abolition of women's basic bodily autonomy spurs violence and injustice in other areas as well. The abortion ban affects partner dynamics, infants born, and older siblings. Domestic violence rates go up, maternal death rates increase, and infanticide becomes more prevalent among other statistics. The abortion ban also disproportionately affects women of color, disabled women, and women of lower socioeconomic status. Limiting or cutting off access to abortion perpetuates cycles of systemic poverty. Without being able to access appropriate medical care, pregnant women are forced to bring unwanted children into inadequate and sometimes dangerous circumstances, causing undue physical, mental, and financial strain to families. Now that we've covered our reasons for choosing this topic and its relevance and importance, we'll be moving on to our plan for engagement. As you've already seen, we'll be providing plenty of statistics which speak for themselves to grip our audience. We'll ensure our delivery is conversational as opposed to accusatory, being mindful of our tone, voice, and speed. We'll discuss calls to action so that viewers don't feel hopeless and we aren't merely fear-mongering. Eye-catching visuals and social media features will help with our presentation to make it feel interesting and retain engagement. We'll also highlight the intersections at play in individual women's lives to further relatability to our audience. Before completing our PSA, we'll be sure to review peer projects, compare and take notes and advice. We'll focus on content as well as visual aspects, and we'll also ask our classmates to review our PSA and take their comments into consideration.
In summary, abortion rights are currently being violated in the US and many other countries worldwide. Today, abortion is protected by state law in 21 states and the District of Columbia, and is at risk of being severely limited or prohibited in 26 states. With different states having different levels of strictness in terms of how hard it is to access an abortion, and differing legal penalties faced by accessing one illegally, women in the US are being sent one message: your body is not yours to choose for. Women in the US and around the world deserve bodily autonomy, and we must ensure that we do not let history repeat itself. Thank you for listening to our proposal for our PSA campaign. We hope that you enjoyed it. We are excited to move forward with this project and see where our research and effort takes us.